All right, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good afternoon. We have our board president on the phone today. He's joining us via phone. Mark, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I'm going to ask if it's all right, being my inability to be there today, if Vice President Jim Blockinger can run the meeting in my absence.
Yes, everybody good with that?
Everybody okay with
Perfect.
that?
All right, sounds good, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim?
We need to have approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of the Board of Education on May 27th, 2026. Any questions, suggestions, changes? If not, we need a motion.
I move the Board of Education approve the minutes from the May 27th, 2026 regular meeting as presented.
Second.
I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 Okay, May financial reports.
Mark?
Mark.
Mark?
Oh, Mark? Are you there, Mark?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
All
Okay.
right. Financial reports.
Good evening. The current cash and investment balance as of May 31st, 2026 is $19,882,250.22. Our revenue for May was $2,693,901.36. This includes evidence-based funding, the Early Childhood at Risk Block Grant, regular and special education transportation reimbursement, special education private facility tuition reimbursements, the National School Lunch Program, and the State Free Lunch and Breakfast Program. Having gone through 91.67% of the fiscal year to this point, through the end of May, we had received 60% of our expected revenues for the 25-26 school year. Having said that, I do want to point out that in Lake County, we received two big property tax disbursements in June. And so while it's not part of this board meeting, this number is significant, and I wanted to point it out to the board. On June 12th, we received $10,910,258.50, and are scheduled to get another smaller disbursement this Friday, the 26th, before closing out the fiscal year, meaning that we are on track to get to our revenues for the school year. Our expenditures for May were $3,222,160.95. This includes our employee salary and benefits, retirement system payments, tuition for programming for our outplaced students. Being at 91.67% of the fiscal year so far, we have expended 87.22% of the budgeted expenditures. Because of the way the cycle of payroll fell in May, there is no revised bill, but for the June bill, I am asking approvals for payments in the amount of $1,561,595.26. In the activity fund, the beginning balance for the month of May was $129,198.90, with revenues totaling $16,866.22, and expenditures totaling $30,554.60. The ending balance for the activity fund at the end of May was $115,510.96. May tends to be the highest expenditures based on end of the year activities, and that's why the revenues were slower than the expenditures, but that is expected.
Any questions about the financial reports? If not, we need a motion to approve.
I move that the Board of Education approve the financial reports for May in addition to the regular June bills for payment as presented.
Second.
Roll call. Aye.
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 Aye. Mark?
Aye.
Okay, public, oh, Public
All right.
participation, thank you, Mark. Anyone would like to address the board at this time?
So during this time for public participation, I mean, I don't think there is any right now, but we have two very special guests in the audience today. And our first one is Mr. Josh Kuhn. Josh will be joining us as the assistant principal at Prairie Trail. He was already approved last month, but I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Waller to introduce him to the board.
We're so excited to have Josh on our team. He's already been part of our SIP process thus far, but as of right now, he is the Director of Technology in Antioch, and we are glad to see him come on over. He also has experience as an assistant principal and dean and math teacher, which, bless your heart, because many of us can't do it. So he is coming on board to join our team, and we look forward to having his expertise with PBIS and all that things, technology and math, to balance us all out. So we welcome him wholeheartedly.
All right.
Welcome.
Welcome, Josh.
Thank you for joining our team. We're very excited to have you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we value your experience.
Thank you.
It's very appropriate.
All right, and then we also have with us tonight Mr. Cuauhtemoc Mendez. So Cuauhtemoc will be taking Sean's role starting July 1st. Cuauhtemoc also comes to us from Antioch. So then, yeah, this is the part where I'm like, but yeah, it was a coincidence. But Cuauhtemoc comes with a lot of years of experience in a very similar role in different districts. You know, District 214, which is the highest, largest high school district in Illinois. District 155 in Crystal Lake, and then most recently in Antioch for the past 3 years. Similar roles, very good experience with HVAC systems, all the BTUs, ITUs, whatever it is, all the technicalities. But Cuauhtemoc already has been in the district, you know, getting his feet wet with all the systems technology, participated in a safety training. As you know, that was a big part of the role too, and he brings a wealth of experience already. He has given already input on some of the things, and we're really excited to have him on board with us and our team. So, and I think there's a little competition between the admin team to see who can say his first name correctly first. I already have that down, but obviously, but yeah, no. If you ask him, he goes by Mendez Cuauhtemoc. But it's a pleasure to have him here. So, all right, so welcome.
You are so welcome to the district as well. We value your experience and your enthusiasm for coming to help us out. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm excited to join the team.
Exactly. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. No other public participation. So we're gonna move into regular business, and this would be the part of the meeting where you can just get up and go. So thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you and welcome.
But this will be the last time you get to leave early. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you. All right.
Okay. Report of the superintendent.
Yep. Moving on to district highlights. I'm going to start with Spalding. Is it? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. All right. So at Spalding, am I on? Yes. At Spalding, on our last Late Start Wednesday, we celebrated professional learning. One of our action steps of our school improvement plan had been the implementation of something we called a champion chart. We developed learning targets with Common Core standards and put those into progressions, and our teachers learned about that and implemented short-term learning cycles to correspond to those. And on our last Late Start Wednesday, the teacher teams presented on one of the projects that they undertook. Everybody got a teeny tiny trophy and cheered with a pom-pom, and we had a great celebration of our professional learning. Also, near the end of school, our preschoolers got to step up to a kindergarten classroom. They were greeted by their kindergarten hosts, and you can see some of the experiences that they had and the warm welcome and collaboration that they experienced there. And finally, on the last day of school, we had our traditional bubble parade. So we honored up in the top middle there, Mrs. Clody and Mrs. Quinones, who retired this year. And we also sent off our second graders to Prairie Trail with a lot of bubbles and a lot of smiles and a lot of good cheer.
All right, at Prairie Trail, we had a lot happening at the end of the year, including Field Day, which we utilized all of our spaces for lots of games and friendly cooperation, as I like to call it, with lots of fun in the sun. It turned out to be a beautiful day. Also, at the end of the year, as you may know, we always have our end of the year reading assembly, as well as our PBIS assemblies. So you can see various pictures. We had some very important actors from this room as well as all around the district that joined the fun for Readers Theater. And all the way on the right, you can see we as a team, our building leadership team, started the IPP process to build out our plan for next year. And it's been super successful thus far. And the collaboration is awesome to see, as well as a preview for next year of Dive Into Reading. And end of the year, crazy spirit days. We've had game time. On the right, you'll see all of the anything but a backpack, doll houses, ottomans, suitcases, all the things. As well as our beach bash, which is one of the best, most fun days ever, which many of you also visited that day, with partying, dancing, games, soccer, which Mr. Vega and I dominated. It's fine. I assisted a goal for him. And we had Tattoo a Teacher. So that turned out to be fun as well.
At River Trail, we cleaned out our classroom libraries and our storage areas and found all kinds of books. And so we put them out in one of our classrooms and let students shop for books that they could take home to have over the summer that they could keep. Because we know some of our students just don't have books at home to read, so we wanted to make sure that they had something in their possession for the summer. We also had Field Day, also took over every single space that we had. Our PE teachers do an amazing job of making it fun, appropriate from kindergarten up to sixth grade. Our seventh graders help run the station, so we introduce them to their leadership opportunities as they go into middle school. But it is a very fun day, and we also had great weather that day. And then finally, our 8th graders. This was the smallest 8th grade group we've had in my whole time at the school. So it's a very small group, and we end the year with our promotion walk, where our 8th graders are in their gowns and they walk through the school. And everybody wears hats that day because it's hats off to 8th grade. And they cheer for the 8th graders, and it's become a really nice tradition. Did we put the video in? Okay. We'll do just a quick sped up version so you can see the big tall 8th graders going through that K3 hallway and the kiddos cheering for them, and my buddy Albert ending but it's a really nice tradition that we have.
At Viking, just wanted to take some time to highlight one of the things that ended the year in a classroom. 6th grade students learned about the importance of masa and Mesoamerican culture and cuisine, and they got the chance to make it and eat. Couple of highlights from end of the year activities. National Junior Honor Society headed over to Depot Road to do a spring trash cleanup. The 6th grade band played for the Memorial Day celebrations at the Veterans Memorial area outside of the Gurnee Police Department, and Students of the Month were celebrated with a trip to Bertrand Bowl Lanes, so bowling for part of the day for them. And then just last but not least, the end of the year always brings fun dress-up days, just like at the other schools, for staff and students alike, and the 8th grade dance, which was amazing to see all the kids all dressed up, enjoying themselves, and everybody all together for the evening dancing and celebrating the end of their time in D56.
These are pictures of our standard reunification method, where we reunified during a pretend safety event that we had over at Spalding. We reunified parents with students. Our custodians were actually our students, and we had administrators from across the district. So it's just some pictures of the process as we went through. And this was Sean's very last safety event with us for the district too. But it was a great morning of learning together.
And if, I just want to mention one thing about the safety training that we received. It was really important for us to see how much manpower it takes to organize something like that if in the event of a real life happening. But it's really eye-opening for some of us to say, like, okay, this is what goes into the reunification process. That is one of the best practices from the I Love You Guys Foundation. So we're going to continue to explore that option, but or that particular model. But more information will come to the board in the future months. So, but that was really good. And here we have a few pictures of the Boys and Girls Club summer camp. We had a very, very good start to the camp itself. They just concluded their second week last week, so we're about to finish the third week. But it's been a consistent attendance for club members. The capacity was limited at 150, and every day it's been between 150 kids and 170 students that show up. So it's really well attended, really great program. These are a few pictures of the activities that they've been able to do. The weather has been a little crummy lately, so they're more indoor. But I think I almost feel like school is in session at Viking, and I know because of the activity. Because of the activity that there is in the building, I walked in there, they're like, wait a minute, like, what's all that noise? But it's the program that's really going, and yeah, can't wait to see what other adventures they explore for the remaining weeks. So really well attended so far. So that's it for district highlights. I'm going to move on to department updates, and we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Da Costa.
Thank you. This time of the year, we're finalizing the budget for next year, getting input from the different principals and departments based on the needs for this upcoming year. We're in the middle processing teacher payrolls for July and August for teachers, as we run a cash basis of accounting, but TRS runs an accrual basis of accounting. And so all of the July and August payrolls need to be reported to TRS by the middle of July. Raises for 12 months, for 12-month employees will be updated in the system after tonight's board meeting, as those are becoming effective July 1st.
All right. As you saw in those pictures, we did have that reunification practice with our own staff, and so we'll use that as a learning opportunity to make changes. But as Dr. Correa said, all the pieces that go on behind the scenes, really, really important, but it's been planning for quite some time. I also had the opportunity to attend a similar event in Lake Zurich, so I could see all of the pieces with all the community agencies coming in together. Within Pupil Services, also working on our special education grant that is due very soon. We've been interviewing a variety of staff, making sure we've got highly qualified staff coming in. I also had the opportunity for some professional learning at the state level with Lake County special education directors at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. And then we're also getting ready for ordering of some preschool for all items to ensure that we have all the pieces needed for our grant to be able to support student learning of our littlest learners.
And in the multilingual department, we had kindergarten screening at the beginning of the month, where we are identifying our new multilingual students. I submitted the bilingual delivery report to the state, where we tell them how many teachers do we have and the programs that we have, and also submitted the assessment survey that the state requires each school district to report information concerning the administration of standardized assessment to students each school year.
We have broken ground on our kitchen project at Prairie Trail. All mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Contractors have been on site and have started locating their equipment and the locations of all the tie-ins. We have started weekly construction meetings to answer any contractor questions and to monitor the progress of the schedule. Our new Director of Buildings and Grounds is being looped in on all construction communication, and we have started the transition of that position. District-wide summer cleaning, preventative maintenance, and teacher moves have started in all the buildings.
In tech, fiber construction and installation from transportation to Viking has been completed. So they completed the installation, they've tested it, so it's ready to go. We're just waiting for our new equipment to come in. We're getting ready to do our rollover next week for Skyward. And I'm also preparing another phishing campaign for staff to keep them on their toes during the summer to make sure they're not clicking on sketchy emails. Also, by 2027, our POTS lines, that's plain old telephone service lines, they're going to be phased out. So we're in the process of switching it over to our new VoIP system, our phone system. We feel that it's robust enough and able to handle any emergency calls. So I know we held off originally doing that because of just the question of will it be able to handle it. So we feel that our system is capable of doing that. So to save some costs, we're going to switch over to that instead of doing a cellular adapter or doing any other type of service for that.
All right. Any questions?
Teacher moves, is that building to building, or what does teacher moves mean?
I believe
Can be.
Oh, okay.
can be right.
It can be from building to building, it can be within the buildings. It's, maybe a teacher moving from one grade to another, or, it's based on principals' recommendations.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Any other questions? No? Okay. Alrighty, moving on. I did want to give the board a brief overview of the already finished or recently launched learning framework. As you know, I've been keeping the board posted on the progress that we made to develop the learning framework for District 56, and finally, on June 5th, we were able to launch it with this leadership teams from each of the buildings. So then a brief presentation on that. Our learning framework is very much like the vehicle. If you think of it this way, we have the portrait competencies, but the learning framework is how we're going to get there, right? So how we're going to develop those competencies. Those competencies cannot be developed with content area alone. There need to be different experiences and different exposure to learning for kids in order for those competencies to really come to life. The team that was composed or that worked on it throughout the year were a combination of classroom teachers, instructional coaches, building administrators, and then Pete Helfers and myself were the only two district office administrators that participated in this process. Again, really dedicated team, very invested into very thoughtful discussions, really invested in what's best for our district and what's best for moving us forward in the development of the portrait, and then really thoughtful conversations also on, how realistic can this be for us, our teachers, and our students based on our community context. So really, really happy with how this worked. We had 4 facilitated days of planning and designing. The facilitation was made by Shannon King, who worked with us. We've been working with her for over 2 years now, and they do this, all over the country with other districts. And she helped us really break down what does it mean for us, what is our context, where have we been with the portrait, and then what are some good next steps for us to develop the learning framework. The iterations then were drafted and feedback from within the group, and also a little bit of feedback was received from leadership teams in the buildings. But when you put a bunch of educators together, there could be a lot of rich discussions, and it was really good work, but it was very draining brain-wise. By the end of the day, each of these days, and I'm seeing Dam and Sarah, who were part of the team, that were like, at the end of those days, we were like, okay, this is a lot, but this is really good work. So based on those 4 days, actually it was 4.5, I should say, that we spent, because we needed another half to plan the launch of it. But it was a really good conversation, and again, really good work on the entire team on how we came about it. So the purpose statement was the first thing that we came up with as far as, what is the purpose of the learning framework and what is it intended to do for our district. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but really the purpose of the framework is to bring alignment to our instructional practices across the board. So in order for us to know that these are really the practices that are going to change or make the portrait come to life. It is also serves as a guide for us to say this is what we focus on and this is what we do not focus on. So one of the pieces with the group was to have that consistency across the board, across the district, no matter what grade level you're in, to say, if we pick this particular skill, this is what we're focusing on, and we're focusing all our efforts on that particular, on making sure that we build the capacity within the staff to do that. We're not going to be about bells and whistles. We're not going to be about the new shiniest thing. We're going to be more about solid instructional practices. And we had to do a lot of digging into what that meant for us, because we could easily get distracted by like what's the newest thing in education, or what's the trend right now. But for us, it was more important to have a solid foundation for instruction and make sure that carried on throughout. Then we also had to define what deeper learning was. And deeper learning is a concept that's rooted into developing the portrait competencies. What I mean by that is that there's the combination of the content, right? So your math skills, your reading skills, your skills that you get in social studies, science, all the content areas. But the experiences that students have in the classroom is what brings the engaged collaborator part to it. It's what brings the effective communicator part to it. So it's not going to be just any good for you to get the content knowledge if you can't communicate it in many different ways to different audiences, right? So then where do we marry those two is based on experiences of what kids see, hear, and basically experience in the classroom. So then we really challenged ourselves to say, how are these experiences going to play a part in the classroom? So then we know that as the world changes, our students will carry on these skills no matter what, right? And be able to apply certain content knowledge in many different settings as they grow older, right? Our theory of action is basically the root of what we wanted to get out of the learning framework, and the idea of it was that if we design a learning framework, we want to build the teacher capacity, right? We can't just say to the teachers, here's the framework, go do it. We have to provide the adequate training. We have to make sure that each school has priorities based on that to build that capacity, right? And then teachers will design those experiences for students that will in turn develop the portrait competencies. So then that's the idea of the whole framework, is to make sure that we stick to a focus. We make sure that we know what we're looking for, and then that we're building capacity with the staff to make sure those things happen. I'm not going to go into it, but Eric, can you put the other document, please? There's a link to this presentation, but our learning framework, in essence, has 6 different components. Those 6 different components are rooted into the deeper learning concepts that are, is it going?
Oh.
It's not projecting.
It's switched on mine.
Sorry. So it has 6 different components that really go after what deeper learning experiences will look like. And I'm going to show you what it looks like, because so far it's an internal document that we created. Even if you click on the link, or not. There it is. So that's what we launched with our staff, is everything lives in one place. And the 6 different components are right there. So applying content knowledge, developing an academic mindset, working collaboratively, thinking critically, communicating clearly, and learning independently. So those are the concepts that need to be present in learning experiences throughout if we want the competencies to be developed eventually. So then, again, if you think about it, the portrait of a graduate is what we want the students to walk away from or walk away with at the end of their career here. And then the learning framework is how we get them there. It's like what practices do we need to implement to do that. So if you click on the first one, Eric. So the way that the learning framework is structured is that, teachers can access this particular framework and start with, like, what do we want students to do? Start in that column and say, okay, we want our students to apply, transfer, learn skills from one concept to another, both independently and working together. So then if we want students to do this, these are the conditions right here that teachers have to create. So these are the things that teachers need to do in order for students to do these things. So then if we click on another one, Eric. Communicate, yeah, that one. So then every single concept is laid out the same way. So this is what we want students to do. This is what teachers are going to do if we want to develop their skills on working together, working collaboratively. So then the idea is that, if you continue to the presentation, please. The idea is that once the learning framework was launched, we asked the teams to really engage in the process of what are your instructional priorities that are aligned to the framework. So we had to change the way that we did the school improvement process. Instead of having, let's say, set goals, we're still going to have goals, but we're going to call them priorities. So then, based on the framework, what are some of the priorities that we have that have these essential elements, right? So we still have to analyze data. We still have to write a goal statement. We have to align it to the Portrait of a Graduate, and then also align it to the District 56 learning framework. And then where the rubber meets the road, if you will, is the action steps and success criteria. It's like that's the building of the capacity of the staff, and that's where things are going to take place. Where, you know, our staff is going to. We want to provide them with the tools and the ability to say, okay, if this is what we want students to do, this is my part in it, and this is how we're going to develop these particular skills. So when we come back in August, what you will see is a very different format for the school improvement plans. So there's going to be an instructional priority plan instead. And right now, principals are working on that. So I don't know if you want to add anything to the content, but feel free. Sarah?
Yeah, I will share that this process worked really nicely for our building leadership team to walk through the instructional priorities plan step by step, using the framework as a guideline, and starting with what we want our students to be able to do and how we need to set things up for them. And then we can think about what do teachers need in the form of professional learning to be able to be successful with that. It's a really straightforward approach, and it led to great conversations and collaboration.
Yeah. Anything else?
I will say it's super helpful to get that shift of we're only focused on the data, and then now shifting to what do we actually want kids to know that is not going to just apply in any one classroom, right? Like the skills for the bigger picture, but also the process that we're using to get there. As Sarah said, the conversations have been great. And we're lucky enough to have Mary Lee, who the process is similar to teacher rounds that occur in our building anyways. So many of our team were familiar with that process. So the conversations that have occurred, or the questions they're asking of each other of, is this feasible to do, or what are we truly going to focus on, and this is what we're committed to, have been great to see so far.
And for us, you know, looking at it with a K-8 lens poses challenges, because when you're looking at building teacher capacity, you want them to improve what they're doing. It looks different for a primary teacher than it does a middle school content teacher. And so they've really dug in to see how do we build capacity in all these different areas at the same time. And so the plan that they've looked at developing really breaks them out by grade level band, by level of expertise, because maybe they're already good at something and they don't need what a brand new teacher needs. And so they've looked at breaking out the professional learning in multiple different ways for them as a staff.
Yeah, so a few things, but really excited about the work that we've done so far. The connections that we're seeing between the priorities of the schools and then where they're behind the learning framework. We have yet to see what the draft plans are, but so far it's been really good work as far as aligning those things. So everybody's in a great track. And this is only an internal document for now. This is really important. We've only shared it with the school leadership teams across the district, and we are going to continue to develop more tools within the framework. So there's a bank of tools, instructional tools with that. But as we launch it, as with anything new, we're going to see how it works, and then we're going to bring the team back together to make any modifications that we need to make, if we need to make any modifications at all, in the future. But this is an internal document. Most likely that document that you saw is going to turn into a website in the future. And then we're thinking of ways of how to make this, how to start sharing some of the language and some of the components with parents, in the fall. So that's, that is our next step. Any questions?
Does the state mandate the SIP, the school improvement plans in a particular format? How does this new framework work with the requirements of a SIP?
Even the schools that are receiving school improvement grant funds, the state requires to have goal statements, which we do within the framework or within the plan. How they're written is a different story, but we're all well within guidelines with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other questions? Anything else? No? All right. Well, thank you. Keep you posted on that. See how that goes. Next item on the agenda is the board meeting calendar. So there are dates in front of the board. The only date that I'm going to make a note of is May 19th. That is a third Wednesday of the month, and that is due because our calendar is, we're actually finishing at the same time that the high school does. And to get some gym space for promotion during that last week for the high school is really, really difficult. So right now, I believe we already secured the promotion date with the high school. And that's why we're asking the board to change the meeting date in May for that reason, because yeah, it's a funky year in that sense. If it was a week later that we finished, there wouldn't be a problem. But if do you have any questions about the dates? Any other dates on the?
There will be many parents and guardians thankful that the high school and District 56 finish at the same time. So thanks for coordinating that.
Mm-hmm. No, it worked out. It worked out. All right. So no questions on that. Moving on to the FOIA request. We had 7 FOIA requests this month. The first one were copies of contracts and purchase agreements for products or services from CDWG, AG Parts, K-12 Tech, Vivacity. I don't know that company, Vivacity, Eric. From June 1st, 2025 to present. We only had CDW government records, so that's what we provided. The second one was a very similar request. Contracts, purchase agreements for Apogee, Final Site, Parent Square, School Messenger, and Blackboard. So those are all tech companies. From 2022 to present, only records for Apogee were provided. So Apogee is the one that provides our website, so it's our website managing system. The third one was utility statements for the most recent 12 months, including electricity, gas, and water. And then in that same request, they requested facility condition assessments in January 2020. So all available records were provided for that one. 4, 5, and 6 are very similar in the sense that it's that time of the year where they're asking for a lot of vendor information. And these are all commercial purpose FOIAs. So again, vendors like CDW Government, Xerox, MGT, School Asset Manager, Sapling, from 2022 to present. Only CDWG records were provided, and then the others, no records because we don't engage in any business with those vendors. And then the last one, again, copies of contracts, for very similar, but these were education companies, and no records were provided because we do not engage in business with those companies. So, any questions about FOIAs? No? Okay. All right, so moving on to policy monitoring for old business. We had 2 policies. This is the second reading, so we do need a motion if there are no questions. There are no major changes recommended for the policies. Any questions about the policies? No?
I'll make the motion. I move the Board of Education approve any recommended changes to board policies under review and to adopt these policies as presented by the administration.
Second.
Roll call, aye.
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 Okay. Next one is second reading for Board Policies Issue 118. This one was a big one last month. It was a big packet. There are no changes recommended to any of the policies. A lot of it, this press update is really legal footnotes. There's a lot of legal footnotes based on updated legislation, but it does not impact any of the policy essence, or content, really. So there's no recommended changes to anything. If anybody has any questions, anything. I know that was a lot of reading last month, but if not, then we need a motion.
I move that the Board of Education adopt the attached policies as presented by the administration.
Second.
Roll call, aye.
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 And you get a break this month. Yay. Right? For no readings, no reading this month. So that's good. All right, Mr. Da Costa, new business. Authorization.
So every school year, as we are finalizing a fiscal year and opening up a new one, there are summer bills that we have to pay that are in July, so in the new fiscal year, but that are due prior to our next board meeting. So in the attached memo that I wrote to Dr. Correa, I outlined the bills that will be due starting July 1st through our board meeting, which will be July 22nd. And you approved the bills for June. I'm asking you to approve these bills for July. The majority of them are debt service payments that we do every year, that we have done for many years going back. And then there is a Skyward bill in addition to that as well.
Any questions about that?
We need a motion then?
Yes, we do.
I move the Board of Education authorize the administration to pay the FY27 bills presented by the administration on July 1st, 2026.
I'll second. Roll call, aye.
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 Okay, so next up on the agenda is our communication support agreement. We are asking the board for the amount of $28,800. This is the communication company that we engaged in last year for all of our newsletters, website updates, and overall social media presence. As you know, they've done a wonderful job with that. And I think this second year, it's less the amount because we're not engaging in a strategic plan with them. They're not doing that service for us. So it is about $16,000 less than it was last year because of the services. The services will not change. They will still be providing our newsletters, all communications for social media, and basically everything that they've done minus the strategic planning portion. So that's the difference between this agreement. And if in the future, I mean, the only downside that I see to having, because the person that is assigned to us is not in state or is not physically here, right? But we're looking at a different, a total different, adding a new position if that's what we want to do in the future. I think for now, the recommendation is to keep it the same. And then if we want to engage in a process, we need to start thinking about that in December, so we can start looking if we want to go in that route, right, that direction. One of the possibilities that we have is to partner with another district to potentially see the opportunity to split the person between two districts, and if that's something that would interest the board, we have a little bit more time to explore. But I think for now, not to interrupt the service that we have and the good things that we have that we're putting out there, right? A lot of branding things, a lot of really good things that are being put up. It was the first time that we are on the newspaper for a good thing, because of the community engagements and the celebrations, which was really, really good. But so yeah, it's a really good service that they're providing. But in the future, if we want to change anything like that, then we can have that conversation separately. Any questions about the agreement? Anything?
We need a motion?
Yeah.
I move that the Board of Education approve the agreement between CESO Communications to provide communications support services to the district presented by the administration.
I'll second. Roll call? Aye?
Aye.
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 Alrighty, moving on to the strategic plan partnership with AASA. The agreement that we had, and if you recall last month, I made a presentation on the potential partnership, aligning, what we've done with the work from the portrait to our strategic plan, so it becomes one. I do want to point out that the timeline for the plan, if the board approves it, will start. I will start planning recruitment for stakeholders in July. And then there are some tentative dates that I already worked with the organization because we're the first ones to do this. And then also we're the first ones to schedule their strategic planning process, with them. So I wanted to have dates ahead of time. And you see them on the page number 6 of the proposal, if you will. The board does not have to do anything right now with those dates. I will ask the board separately to conduct a focus group, whether that's virtual or in person. But there's a lot of information that they're going to be gathering for us to make sure that we develop the plan the best we can moving forward. We had a narrative workshop with the administrative team almost a couple of weeks ago, right? I think it was. So then it was a really good eye-opener to say what alignment do we have between the work that's happening now, what are we communicating with our community, and then how do we need to change our messaging so we all things kind of are coherent in that sense. So I'm really excited about the proposal. I think it's a great thing for the district for the future, and then moving us forward in the right direction. So. Tentative dates are right there. A lot of community engagement, that's their main thing. So I'm going to be asking the board also for help recruiting if that's a possibility, right? Because we want to get community leaders, church leaders, all of our organizations are going to be involved, in addition to staff, right? Administrators, teachers, coaches, you name it. But we're
the library,
looking to have that
maybe.
recruitment. Yeah, library too. Really, really excited about that. But if there are no questions, then we need a motion to approve.
I'll do it. I move the Board of Education approve the proposal from AASA to provide strategic planning partnership services for the district at a cost of $30,000 as presented by the administration.
Second.
Roll call? Aye?
Aye.
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 All right, Mr. Esteban. It's your turn.
So I'm here presenting a quick presentation on the middle school device refresh. So it's been asked over and over, why can't we have Chromebooks in the middle school? So with that, our tech committee sent out a survey to all middle school students and teachers. And here are the results. About 20% said they would like to stick with the iPad, and 80% said they would like some flavor of Chromebook. So about 46% wanted the non-touch, 12% wanted the touch screen, and then about 20% wanted the Chromebooks that flip in half, or flip over, so a Chromebook and a tablet. Some of the concerns or questions or reasonings were Chromebooks have keyboards, whereas iPads do not. It's difficult to type on an iPad. Another one was Warren Township High School uses Chromebooks to help with the transition. Why can't our middle school students have those to learn and get familiar with them before going to high school? There's better integration with the Google Workspace and easier management for those devices I held a Q&A session with all middle school staff. Some of the concerns that they had were the durability. So I do have one here with us. They're pretty durable. I dropped it numerous times. I think at Viking, when I was doing my presentation, I purposely dropped it and it opened and, no problem. So they do stand drop tests. Management. So we are already used securely for managing all our devices, filtering, aware, and hall pass. So we're going to add the component insecurely, which will give teachers the ability to manage the classroom devices on a browser. So that will work nicely with that. Support. So we're planning on doing in-home or in-house repair on the devices. The keyboard replacements, they're making these Chromebooks so easy to replace, repair. Couple screws on the back, the keyboard pops out. I can get the keyboard replaced in like 10, 15 minutes, tested and everything. So a screen will take a little bit longer, but still possible, and the parts are available, they're reasonable. And the other concern was compatibility. So we now use ClassLink for our student portal for accessing all the apps, so they don't have to remember numerous passwords for all their systems. They log in one time, and they're in all our applications without having to enter another password. And then testing. I mean, one nice thing about testing on an iPad or a Chromebook versus an iPad, you have a built-in keyboard, so you don't have to have an external device to plug into. And the device we ended up with is the Lenovo 100E 11-inch Gen 5 Chromebook. It's very reasonable, durable. Price point is where we wanted to be at. This one is a non-touch screen, but you saw a majority of our staff prefer a non-touch screen, which just adds to the distraction. With that, we plan on doing a yearly refresh cycle. So after our third year, every sixth grader that comes in will get a new Chromebook. And they will keep that Chromebook all the way until they graduate 8th grade. And then after that, we can do a number of things. We can use those Chromebooks for parts, we can recycle them, or we can resell them. This is going to help with budgeting instead of, over $1 million every time we do a lease. We can budget it more appropriately. And that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Sounds good.
So, so the 8th grade, so like for 8th graders, at the end of year 1, then the 5th graders will get theirs? Is that how that works?
No, this is just for middle school, so 6th, 7th, and 8th grade will only have Chromebooks. K-5 will still have iPads. And then next year, I'm planning on doing a refresh on those devices, which we would stay with iPads.
So you said that the 6th graders will get the
After
same
our third
3
year
year.
of having Chromebooks.
We'll have all 3. But so does that mean like the 8th graders at the end of the year, their Chromebooks will go on to the next year's
They will go
5th
to
grade?
6th grade, yes. That would cycle for 3 years.
The only ones, the first couple of years are going to be a little bit funny because we have currently 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, so they will only get to keep their device 1 year for 8th graders and 2 years for 7th graders. So then the incoming 6th graders are the ones going to be with the device for the next 3 years. Yeah. But those devices are going to be recycled after year 1 and after year 2 for future 7th and 8th.
Correct.
And the staff are comfortable with transition of software and that sort of thing? Like,
Yeah. So us moving to ClassLink makes it easier because ClassLink is a web-based portal. You can access it from any device, whether it's laptop, Chromebook, iPad. All you need is a browser. So that is going to ease that transition.
they'll still a tournament at the end of each school year?
Yes, that's the plan. We'll still do cleaning, refreshing, updates.
I think it's great.
I just want to say one more thing. Considering this, at the K-5 building or the K-5 level, when we talk about an iPad refresh, the durability of the iPad might be just as equal as the Chromebook, right? Maybe a little bit more, but now we're seeing that the devices are not being as utilized as they were before we kept them in school. So K-5 does not take him home anymore. So at home, who knows what was happening at home with the iPads, but I think we kind of gather an idea of that kids were not using the iPads. It was like maybe the adults or the siblings or whatever. And now that they're staying home, we're seeing like less, misuse, less breaks, less, and more durability, right? So then realistically, in a K-5, building or a K-5 level, they may use the device for about 2 to 3 hours during the day versus, who knows what happened during the weekend or at night, and now the refresh for the iPad, we have an opportunity to say, okay, how do we really need it every 4 years or can we wait any longer than that? Because iPads are really, really expensive.
And we're currently going on our 5th year of iPads for our K-5 iPads. And with us doing the cleaning and everything, we're noticing that the battery life is so much better than in the past. So we're at majority of our devices still at 80+% battery-wise, which is amazing.
For that amount of time.
For 85 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What is our price for the Chromebooks
I would have,
versus consumers? Customers?
I believe $320, I believe, is what we were quoted for the Chromebooks. And then consumer price was $349, I want to say. So, and I did beat up our vendors to give us the best possible pricing. So they threatened price increases because of, RAM being a hot commodity right now with all our data centers and everything like that. So Lenovo was very generous to keep us at that level of pricing without raising it, because supposedly next month they're going to raise their prices for all devices. So, and a lot of other companies have already done that. So that's why we're going with Lenovo, whereas some of the other companies have already raised the prices and they're well into the $400 price range already.
So will the middle school iPads be exchanged for credit then towards
So what we're
K-5
gonna do with
iPads
those-
or something, or?
What we're going to do with those, we're going to go through all our K-5, find the ones that have the bad batteries, any cracks, any flaws in it, and swap them out. So depending on how many we have left, we're going to keep a majority of it as parts and spares. And then if there's any leftover in the past, we have sold them to staff, or we can recycle them or resell them.
So the idea is that Chromebooks are easier for staff to repair in-house versus iPads usually need to get sent back to the company? Is that what I'm understanding?
So, yeah, that's the plan. It's new
And
to us,
then-
so we're not exactly sure how it's going to go, but I've talked to other districts, and the high school has their own tech team that does in-house repair, and it's pretty easy to do.
And then is it my understanding the majority of the staff think that because it's not a touch like an iPad, that it'll be more school friendly? Is that my understanding of why the switch?
It's just less distraction, because if you're touching, it's just another distraction. Whereas if it's not touch, you pretty much just have your keyboard and your touchpad. And the management software that we're getting with Securely allows the teachers to see all the devices in their classroom and be able to manage them, lock them down, have them focus on just one website or one task.
Okay, any other
Anything
questions? If not, we need a motion. I'll do it. I move the Board of Education approve the proposal from Howard Technologies in the amount of $223,600 for the purchase of 650 Lenovo 100E Gen 5 Chromebooks and 650 OS licenses for middle school students as presented by the administration.
Second.
Roll call, aye.
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 Okay,
Me again.
teacher, yeah.
So this one is for teacher devices. So for teacher devices, we are going to stick with the MacBook Air devices. They've been proven to be solid devices. You know, we've gotten 4 years out of them, and the teachers use them really hard daily in and out. Our classrooms are set up with Apple TVs, so mirroring to the projectors makes that easy. It just works with our ecosystem. Let's see. We're also upgrading the iPads to the latest version, which is they're calling it the iPad A16, and it has 128 gigs on it now. So that was one of the complaints that the teachers that do use it is they're running out of space. So it pretty much doubled their space on there. And another reason for the MacBook Air, we've noticed a lot of their batteries have started to go on teacher devices. So this would be a great time to refresh those. We also, Apple has been, we've had a long time partnership with them, so they were able to give us a 0% interest on this loan, so that will help the district, save money on doing this refresh. So with that, any questions?
Do staff tend to use both, or do they tend to pick one, or I'm curious as to how they work that.
They prefer their Apple.
Do they tend to use both the MacBook Air? Do they tend to have two devices, or do they tend to pick one? I'm just curious as to how.
Would you say
I think the question is, do staff prefer like the laptop versus the iPad?
Oh, yeah. So it just depends. Some staff, they'll use their iPad because it's lighter for them to carry and they're projecting. It just depends on what they're doing.
Do some staff get both, or how
They
does?
will get both.
They would go both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions? Anything else?
Need a motion?
Yep.
I move the Board of Education approve the proposal from Apple Inc. in the amount of $319,330 for the purchase of 220 Apple 13-inch MacBook Air laptops and 220 Apple iPad A6 128 gig devices for district staff as presented by the administration.
Second?
Roll call? Aye.
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 All right. No one in public
No
comment?
one public comment. We'll need a motion to go into closed.
I move the Board of Education adjourn an open session, reconvene in closed session to discuss pursuant to 5 ILCS 122C1 personnel, 9 student discipline, 10 student information, 11 potential litigation, 21 discussion on minutes.
Second.
Roll call? Aye.
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 All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. I
Good
just
night.
want to take a minute to acknowledge Sean for his last
Oh,
official
that's
board
right.
meeting. And on behalf of the board, thank you for your 30 years of service and all that you've done for us. It's amazing what the district looks like because of you, and we're very proud to have had you and hope to continue the working relationship, as I understand we are. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Yeah. He'll be back next month.
Thanks, Sean.
Oh, well then forget everything I said.
He'll be back next month. All right. But that was nice. That was really nice.